Hey guys, today we're going to do the unboxing and first impressions of the MacBook Pro 16 M4 Pro. This is the latest version of the MacBook Pro 16. It came out late last year, 2024. And I got this laptop because my company gave me it as a replacement for my old work laptop, which they said was too old and needed to be replaced. So my old work laptop was a 2019 MacBook Pro 16 that still had an Intel Core processor in it, had a Core i9 processor, and didn't even have an M2 processor, and it was coming up on 6 years old. So basically my company told me that it needed to be replaced, and they sent me the latest version of the MacBook Pro 16, which I'm grateful for because this would have cost me quite a bit of money if I were to buy it separately. So this version retails for $2,800 US. Go down the specs here. It has an M4 Pro processor, which is the latest Apple processor, and it's not the most powerful actually. M4 Max is the most powerful. However, the M4 Pro is still very powerful and still far more powerful than any other laptop I own. Like my personal MacBook is a MacBook Air M2 from 2022. So obviously the M4 Pro is a lot more powerful than that. And as a 20 core, so the M4 Pro processor has a 14 core CPU. It also has a 20 core GPU, which I'm not sure how much that matters because I'm not going to be doing any gaming on this thing. Like, first of all, it's a Mac. Second of all, it's a work laptop, so I'm not really going to do any gaming. But yeah, obviously a powerful GPU too. Has 48 gigs of memory. That's by far more than any other computer or laptop I own. 48 gigs is quite a bit of memory. But again, really, thankful to my company for giving me a laptop with these kind of specs that can definitely run a lot of virtual machines and servers and things like that when I'm using it for work. And 512 gigabyte SSD in it as well. And yeah, let's actually just take a look at see what's inside. This is mainly just going to be an unboxing video. I'm not really going to go over Mac OS or anything like that. Yeah, I've already gone over Mac OS in my previous MacBook review videos, and yeah, generally I just want to take a look at the actual features of the laptop itself rather than the operating system. So yeah, this is the box. You guys can see this is the configuration, which is the middle configuration if you were to buy it on Apple's website. The M4 Pro chip, 48 gigs of memory, 512 gigabytes storage. Yeah, quite a powerhouse. And it'll tell you about the display too. 16.2 inch liquid retina XDR display with ProMotion technology, 3456 by 2234 pixels. Very, very high resolution. I don't think I have anything with a liquid retina XDR display, although still I wish that they do have a laptops with mini LED displays, don't they? Yeah, or anyways, I think that there should be MacBooks with OLED or mini LED displays would be a lot better, but anyways, liquid retina XDR is still pretty good. Of course, 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports, an HDMI port, and an SD card as well. They added some of these ports back in, by the way, when they took out a lot of these ports before. Now they're adding it back in, which is funny. MagSafe 3 port headphone jack, weighs 4.7 pounds. Okay, and 140 watt adapter. Okay, should be pretty good. All right, let's take a look at this computer here. So pretty simple box. Apple's really set the standard for packaging across the industry. They're known for a very simplistic and yeah, very nice packaging, just keeping it simple like that. So really Apple's packaging influenced everyone else, everyone from DJI to Sony. Okay, and very basic, you just get the essentials here as you would expect, designed by Apple in California. Yep. So what do we get here? Probably just a simple quick start guide or something like that, right? All right, MacBook Pro. Welcome to your MacBook Pro. You got Force Touch trackpad here, Touch ID of course, MagSafe 3, level 5 headphone jack. Don't think I have any computers with MagSafe 3 in it. Yeah, actually, no, actually I do. Sorry, my MacBook Air does. I think my MacBook Air does have it. Yeah, MagSafe 3. Okay, I was thinking of MagSafe 2, but no, MagSafe 2 is the one that was in my old MacBook Pro from back like 10 years ago, so I was getting confused. Yep, it's a nice near bezel-less display. Not exactly bezel-less, but near bezel-less 1610, by the way. Apple displays have always been 1610 for a while. They did not need to change to that. These days, more and more laptops and laptop manufacturers are changing to a 1610 display from 16:9, but Apple has always been 1610. Or they go into 3:2 aspect ratio, which gives you a bit more vertical space as well. But Apple's always had that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Actually, this part, yeah, not too much inside here. Okay, and this is again what you expect, the basic bare essentials. You get a USB-C to MagSafe 3 right here. Which is a really cool way of charging. And by the way, this is a proprietary Apple thing, but I do like it, this magnetic connector, and I think they're the only ones that really use it. I don't think that any other laptop or PC maker uses the kind of MagSafe type charging. Most computers still use barrel charging or USB-C charging, but Apple, I think, is the only laptop maker I know that uses this MagSafe charging, or only computer maker I know. Yeah, nice high quality, nice feeling cables too, by the way. It's something that a lot of other manufacturers don't really pay attention to something like this, but it's a nice feeling cable. Actually, like almost braided like. But yeah, USB-C to MagSafe 3. So this is a magnetic connector, meaning that when you plug into a laptop, it charges, and then if you ever trip over the cable, it'll actually disconnect and won't pull your laptop down with it. So that's the advantage of having this magnetic charging connector. Again, it's a neat idea. Kind of wish that other laptop makers would have that, but I think it's only Apple that has that. They have like a patent over it probably. And this is the big charging brick, it being like 145 watts, I think. Yeah, so it's the Apple charging brick here, and yeah, so USB-C goes in there. It's a USB-C connector. So let's just okay, here we go. Yeah, so USB-C goes there, and then this one, you can either plug it into the wall here, or you can get an extension cord. I usually just have an extension cord. The fact is that Apple doesn't provide this extension cord, but you can buy one separately. The extension cord just plugs into here, and then yeah, you can do it over longer distances. I prefer to have the extension cord, but they don't actually provide that out of the box. You have to buy it separately. That's really it inside of the box here. All right. But yeah, minimalistic packaging is what you expect from Apple. Here's the MacBook Pro 16. All right, and I'm guessing they got me the silver color, right? This the basic silver color. All right, this is what it looks like. Yeah, so this is what it looks like, and of course you gotta have that classic Apple logo here. Although one more thing I have to note is that the older MacBooks, this one actually glows, but with the newer MacBooks it doesn't. So yeah, this is just merely like a mirror-like finish on this Apple logo here, whereas in the previous MacBooks it actually had a glowing Apple. So that's one thing I kind of missed, is that glowing Apple, but it's just like kind of a nitpick, you know. Yeah, the old ones, the Apple logo glows up. It doesn't anymore, unfortunately. It hasn't been doing that for the past few generations. But just kind of a nitpick. You know, there's some things from the older MacBook Pros that do, like they got in most of the stuff back, right? But there's still, you know, some things I still missed about the older MacBooks, like the glowing Apple logo. This is what the underside looks like. One thing is this MacBook Pro etching right here. Not sure if this was in the previous MacBook Pros. I don't remember seeing this in the bottom of previous MacBook Pros, but yeah, it looks like this is something that's maybe newly added. They added this MacBook Pro etching on the bottom. That's new, I think. I don't remember seeing that in older MacBook Pros. But other than that, yeah, nothing else is out of the ordinary here. Maybe a few more screws seem to be exposed, I think, compared to the older ones. Designed by Apple in California, assembled in China, that's normal. Yeah, other than that, I think that's the thing as I noticed. It's like two vents right here for for the heat, I think. So 2 vents right here for the heat. A few more exposed screws compared to what I saw in previous MacBook Pros, and then this little etching of a MacBook Pro right here, which again, I think that's a new thing. I don't remember seeing that in older ones. But yeah, that's the bottom right here. Yeah, so it weighs about 4.7 pounds, so not light, but not like really heavy, but definitely not light. And it's definitely noticeably thicker than the previous MacBook Pros, because, okay, this is a funny thing, right? Apple brought back these ports. Yeah, so you guys can see, like, doesn't taper down anymore, by the way. Yeah, no taper. It just seems just look a little bit thicker all around here. Yeah, it's a little bit thicker all around with no taper anymore. Yeah, so definitely I think they add a little bit more thickness. Maybe that's just to increase the performance under load and also give more room for ports, which is a good thing in my opinion. So you have a full-size SD card slot here, Thunderbolt 5, and also USB-C right here. HDMI, full-size HDMI here, which I think it's HDMI 2.1. So I can't, it doesn't exactly say the specs on the box right here, but I think this is HDMI 2.1 there. But yeah, full-size HDMI. They all, the SD card and HDMI make a comeback because they were gone from previous Apple MacBook Pros until recently. So I'm glad they added that back. And you have MagSafe 3 right here, and you got 2 more Thunderbolt 5 ports, also USB-C, and a headphone jack. So yeah, in a kind of a stunning reversal, Apple brought back a lot of the ports that people were angry about them taking out. So yeah, back in 2016, Apple did away with so many of the ports, right, and just left with USB-C, and then slowly they brought back a lot of the things. Like they brought back the scissor switch keyboard, and they brought back the HDMI and SD card slot now as well. Okay, as soon as I open up the laptop, it starts. Yeah, they want to make it as simple as possible for people to just use the computer, right? And it's kind of a throwback to the original Macintosh here. It's the original Macintosh presentation that Steve Jobs did back in 1984, where he just puts in a floppy and it just starts saying hello. Once you open up the MacBook Pro, it just starts saying hello. So I think that's a throwback to the original Macintosh. But yeah, speakers should be pretty good. I've already demonstrated this with all the MacBook Air speakers, but MacBook speakers have been pretty good ever since the redesign, like back in 2016. They've only gotten better, actually. So I would say that the speakers on the MacBook Pro and MacBook Air are some of the best speakers that you can get for laptops. I've never been disappointed with any of the speakers in recent MacBooks. So speakers should be pretty good, and have a decent amount of space here to put good speakers. A large trackpad, which is a Force Touch trackpad, I believe. So yeah, this one is also pretty nice as well. And I think this might be the thing I like the most about this. So not just the ports coming back, like the HDMI and the SD.
The main language. Press the return key.
Okay. Not just the HDMI and a full-size SD card slot coming back, which, you know, that's always a good thing to see those come back. But I think the thing I most appreciate about coming from my older work laptop is the fact that no more touch bar. That's right. This no touch bar, it brings back the physical keys for all the keys, and that's awesome. I hated the touch bar, and I think I'm not the only one that did. So my old work laptop, which was the 2019 MacBook Pro 16, had a Core i9 processor. Obviously, the M4 Pro is a lot more powerful. Yeah, that one had this touch bar here, and at least it has some physical keys, right? Like the escape key was there, and the Touch ID, which this one has as well, is right here. But yeah, like the rest of this part right here, like the contrast, brightness, play pause, and the mute and volume buttons, these were all part of the touch bar, which was context sensitive and changed depending on what app you used. Now, the idea of the touch bar was good, but the problem is the execution, because really the touch bar, like, yeah, it just wasn't very useful. I didn't find it useful. And it was always kind of a hassle for me to just look down at the touch bar, trying to like find which key to use, and you can accidentally press it and stuff. I think especially the Siri key. There's like a Siri key that's right close to the Touch ID button or the power button right here, and I would accidentally hit it a lot. And that would really piss me off. So the execution was very flawed. The idea was cool, I guess, in concept, that you have a touch bar here that gives you control over, give you different keys depending on what app you're in. But I just prefer the reliability of having the physical keys again. The touch bar for me was just useless. I never really used it much. Just found it annoying. I would just accidentally hit a lot of the buttons sometimes. I would have to look down and see what buttons that had available because it kept changing depending on which app I was in. So yeah, it was just kind of annoying. And I think most people would just rather not use it because think about it. Like if you're going to use an app, right, like say Zoom, right? Zoom is one of those apps where it's like context sensitive. Okay. If I were to use like Zoom, all the user interface stuff, I would just use on the Zoom app. Like, why would I have to look down onto another interface that was changing all the time? Like, I would have to memorize a different interface. Like, basically, when I look down my keyboard, it would just keep changing per app. I have something else to memorize when I could just use the interface that the app has. Like, why do I have to look down here when the user interface of the app is already up there? You know, like, it wasn't too useful to me anyways, and just caused a lot of headaches and annoyances. So I'm really glad the touch bar is not here anymore. Just a full row of physical keys, that's great. You know, Apple finally listened to people. They went back, so I felt like the touch bar and the butterfly keyboard, those are such huge mistakes for Apple, and I'm glad that getting rid of all the ports, that was such a huge mistake. So I'm glad that Apple's really is going back, and they realized that they made a mistake. They're bringing back the ports. They brought back the scissor switch keyboard. Now they got rid of the touch bar as well. So they realized their mistakes here, and they're bringing this stuff back. So, yep. And this keyboard is really nice to use, as you would expect. I've always liked Apple's scissor switch keyboards. You know, for a while back in in that era, the dark era of butterfly keyboards, there were MacBook Pros from 2015 before they upgraded them. Like they were actually selling quite well because they were the last generation of MacBooks that had this kind of keyboard. But good thing is Apple brought this back right in 2019. They brought back the scissor switch keyboards in the MacBook Pro 16, except with that touch bar still. But now they got rid of the touch bar, so that's great. Now this is just a great computer. So yeah, again, I'm not going to show you guys the operating system. I mean, it's Mac OS, it's great, easy to use and everything.
To use English as the main language, press the return key.
And the screen is really good. It's very vibrant, and I think MacBooks have some of the best displays in laptops as well. So speakers are great, and display is great. You have just this little notch here for the webcam, but other than that, it's mostly kind of bezel-less, I guess, 16:10 aspect ratio, but you have really good colors and stuff because Apple's always been good about that. They've always been good about making the displays really colorful, vibrant, giving you like the full P3 coverage and everything. And this is the liquid XDR retina, or whatever they call it, very high resolution. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my first impressions of the MacBook Pro 16, and now with a more powerful processor than ever, the M4 Pro. I'm sure I'm not even going to use this processor to even close to its limits, since I'm just going to be doing work on it, which consists mostly of just running some terminals, running some node servers, maybe some virtual machines, and really not really anything too intensive other than that. But I mean, some of the processes might be, but I'm sure I'm not really going to drag down the processor too much. I mean, on my old MacBook, there were times I felt like it was sluggish. The old MacBook I had with the Core i9 processor from 2019, I felt like, yeah, sometimes my computer was a bit slow or freeze sometimes. But that's when I had like a ton. Also, that computer had 32 gigs of RAM, which is quite a bit, but I had a ton of Chrome tabs open all the time as well. That was eating up the RAM, and that had all these terminal processes running, which took up CPU. So that one would get slow at times, but I'm sure I'm not even going to tax this M4 Pro processor. This processor just seems incredibly powerful. So yeah, very powerful processor. Now with 48 gigs of RAM, so I can open up as many Chrome tabs as I want, I guess, for 48 gigs of RAM. I think that's definitely enough for me. And yeah, they got rid of the touch bar. Man, I really gotta clap Apple. Thank you, Apple, for getting rid of the stupid touch bar, bringing back the physical keys, controls, and obviously Touch ID is still very useful, so keep that. This big force touch trackpad, fine, that's fine, great. You know, speakers, you know, Apple's been doing great with speakers and display, so keep that all there. And just get rid of the touch bar, give back some ports like the full-size HDMI, the full-size SD card slot, keep the Thunderbolt 5 there still for expandability, and the MagSafe 3, right, that's another thing they changed, by the way. The first gen, like when they do a redesign of MacBook Pros back then, the one with the butterfly switches, they took out the MagSafe as well. So now they brought back MagSafe as well. You know, they brought back basically all the good stuff that we liked about MacBooks. So it's really the best MacBook now, right? These are the best generations of MacBooks, because so you have all the good stuff on the modern MacBooks, like you have the Apple M processor, which is much faster than the Core processors, and then you have the better display, of course, you have the better speakers, you have the bigger touchpad, but at the same time, you have all the good stuff from the older MacBooks as well, like you have all the ports, and you have the MagSafe connector, and you have the scissor switch keyboard. So really, it's the best of the best. I really do think that the newest generation of MacBooks, MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros are pretty much the best generation. Very few compromises, I would say, and obviously you have the more powerful processors as well, the M4 Pro and the M4 Max, actually, if you get the Max configuration of this laptop. So anyways, have to thank my company GoDaddy for providing me with this, because otherwise this would have been a $2,800 purchase, which would have been quite expensive. But it is indeed a very good laptop. Definitely like it better than my old one, not just for the increase in processing power, but for giving me more ports and this keyboard, okay? Yeah, I hated that touch bar. So, yep. Definitely, I think it's a considerable upgrade for me. It's a little bit thicker, for sure. And yeah, so I did notice that this MacBook Pro is a bit thicker than my previous one. And that's mostly because they had to add these ports back in, I think. Also might be good for thermal performance as well. So making something too thin actually isn't very good. People always think about the thinness when it comes to laptops, and Apple's part of that because Apple really advertised on thinness before. But I think as they realized, making something too thin isn't good either, right? You take away some of the ports just to make it thinner, or you take away, yeah, even like MagSafe. Yeah, MagSafe is another thing that they brought back from older laptops, which is good. Yeah, you cause thermal issues, right, when you make it too thin. So I think that making something too thin isn't good, and they make the newer MacBook Pro a little bit thicker, and that's actually a good thing, I think. It's not like really thick, but it's definitely thicker than the previous generation, and that's fine. I mean, you add back in some more ports and stuff, and make it better performing for thermals, and I'm good with that compromise. So it doesn't need to be too thin for me. So anyways, I think that this is a great computer. The MacBook Pro 16 M4 Pro should be very performant and very fast. Lots of RAM in this one. Great display, great speakers, great keyboard, great trackpad, MagSafe, HDMI, full-size SD. Really, what is there to complain about with this one? Not much. This is a very good laptop. So I would say the only downside of these MacBooks is, of course, the cost. But that's always been a thing with Apple, right? It's not like Apple stuff was ever like cheap or anything like that. So yes, maybe the price has gone up a little bit, but you know, that's just to be expected with Apple. But other than that, I do think that this generation of MacBooks is probably overall the best one. Not talking about just the power, of course, but that increases every generation. But I'm just talking about the usability as well, right? With the ports and the keyboard and everything. It's the best of the old MacBooks combined with the modern MacBooks as well. So yeah, I'm really glad that Apple finally listened to consumers and finally decided to bring back the ports, take away the touch bar, and give us back the MagSafe, and yeah, combine that with all the modern features of the MacBooks as well. That's it, guys. This might give you guys my first impressions of the new MacBook Pro 16. Yeah, definitely going to serve me well for much of my time at work to come, I guess. So I might even think about getting one for myself sometime. Like the thing about my MacBook Air, right? If my MacBook Air starts to slow down at some point, I'll definitely think about getting a new generation, especially given the fact that you have the newer ports on this one. So anyways, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you guys have any comments.